Hello and welcome to Famous Gays and Lesbians, alleged and otherwise. I'm your host, Thomas Connolly. I happen to be a gay actor, and I live in the gayest city of them all, West Hollywood, California. Now, today's episode, we're profiling a very courageous person. Now, you may not have heard of this gay man, but he is super famous in my book. He is one bold, assertive, confrontational, heroic gay man. Now, I'm referring to Wilhelm Arendeus. Now, wait till you hear his story. He was born in 1894 in Holland, and he was out, it seemed, from the moment he came out of mom's womb. He was thrown out of his house for being so gay when he was 13 years old. Now, he was mostly impoverished at first, living on the streets, finding random jobs as an artist. Now, after a few years, he found more success, especially when he landed a lucrative commission to paint a mural in the Rotterdam City Hall. He went on to become a successful author and illustrator with such books as The Owl's House and In Blossoming Winter Radish. His treasured artwork as an abstract expressionist is featured in many world museums. He was known for his elongated geometric figures and a monochromatic palette. However, it was his political activism that he became most famous for. When Hitler occupied Holland in 1943, Arendeus became a leader of the resistance movement against the Nazis. While Hitler and the Nazis were rounding up the Jewish people and anyone else they considered degenerates, like homosexuals, to death camps such as Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen, Wilhelm Arendeus and his boyfriend concocted a strategy to fool the Nazis with false documents that Jews and gay people could use. This was only partially successful as the Nazis eventually caught on. So then Wilhelm Arendeus and his close friend, this out and acknowledged lesbian woman, Frida Belinfante, devised a plan to blow up the Amsterdam Nazi Registration Office. Their attack, which took place on March 27th, 1943, actually destroyed over 800,000 identity cards of Jews and gays. No one was caught on the night of the attack. However, unfortunately, somebody betrayed Arendeus and turned him in, and he was arrested on April 7th, 1943. Now, it's interesting to note that right down the street from this Amsterdam registration office was Anne Frank and her family hiding in their attic. And just like Wilhelm Arendeus, somebody betrayed the Frank family and turned them in as well. One tip to the Gestapo could have fatal consequences back then. Well, we'll get back to the arrest of Wilhelm Arendeus in a moment, but it must be noted that there are shocking similarities between what happened to Wilhelm Arendeus back then and the Donald Trump administration. Now, specifically, Arendeus' life was threatened by Hitler and the Nazis. Now, Hitler strategically came into power by three things. Number one, by controlling the media. Number two, by propagating lies. And number three, promising the final solution, which was about white supremacy and an all-white Aryan Caucasian race. Now, I'm not really exaggerating to say that this is the playbook of Mr. Donald Trump. Number one, Donald Trump consistently attempts to control the media by labeling anything fake news that he doesn't like. How many times have you heard the trope, fake news, coming from Donald Trump? Number two, Donald Trump is a master at propagating lies. He is still trying to convince people that he is the rightful president and the election was not bona fide and was a big steal. And number three, he's a supporter of white supremacy, even down to the detail. There's a direct parallel between Trump and Hitler. For example, Trump is on the record saying, why can't we have more immigrants from Norway instead of those shithole African countries? I'm sorry if that language offends anyone, but those were Donald Trump's real words. The message here is that Hitler wanted an Aryan all-white race, which originated in, voila, Norway. Do you really think it's a coincidence that Donald Trump picked Norway as his first choice of immigrants? Now, on a side note, even though Hitler's mission was to kill anyone who was an Aryan and white, Hitler was an Aryan himself. Oh, and also in Hitler's family tree, there were Jewish relatives. The point is, aren't we supposed to learn from a narcissistic, psychopathic, ultra dangerous man like Hitler when someone like Trump explodes on the national scene? Anyway, I mention all this because it further illustrates the courage of Wilhelm Arendeus. Wilhelm Arendeus was living in a time in the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s when it was illegal to be a practicing gay man or lesbian woman. Shockingly enough, did you know that it is still illegal right now to be gay or lesbian in over 70 countries of the world? But I digress. Despite all these roadblocks, Wilhelm Arendeus lived his life openly and proudly as a homosexual man. He was literally out his entire life and spent the bulk of it with his boyfriend, John Tehissen. Yes, he paid a high price for this, for Wilhelm Arendeus was found guilty by the Nazi Party and was executed by the Gestapo in a brutal public display in 1943. And do you know what his final words were? He actually said, "Homosexuals are not cowards." Oh, you have to love a man like Wilhelm Arendeus. He was one brave, badass, epic warrior for the LGBTQ community. This is Thomas Connolly for Famous Gays and Lesbians, Alleged and Otherwise. If you like the show, could you please like and subscribe? That would really help our program. Until next time, bye-bye.